Hello and welcome back to our first video where I'm going to start discussing the questions. So first I'll be discussing this document which contains 100 questions. So let us start with first question. Okay, what it says, an app team is developing a mobile banking app. Okay, it took them 2 months to create their own APIs to access transaction information from a central database. The app team, central database means this API is nothing but a system API, right? It took them 2 months to create their own API to access transaction information from central database. So central database is a system and they have developed a system API. The app team later found that another team has already built an API that accesses the transaction information they need. Oh, duplicate effort, right? So according to Mulesoft, what organization structure could have saved the app 2 months of the development time? So the answer for this is actually Center for Enablement. The answer which these people have given also is correct. Center for Enablement, or we call it as C4E. What it says, let me explain you in detail. So actually, I hope you remember API-led connectivity. If you don't remember or if you don't know, please go through my Mule developer course playlist. There is a video on API-led connectivity. Watch it. So according to API-led connectivity, what we normally do is we develop multiple APIs. The downmost layer is system APIs. Normally, who will develop these system APIs? Who are supposed to develop the system APIs within your organization? The central IT team, the IT team, which does not belong to any of the line of businesses. Okay, IT, sorry. The IT team, which does not belong to any of your line of businesses. A common team will actually create this system APIs. So these system APIs will access the third-party systems, and normally the LOB IT team, what they do, they develop the process APIs, and these process APIs contain the business logic. And these process API interact or get the information from the system APIs. This is the one, right? But how does the LOB team know what all system APIs are present? So we understood that whatever APIs we develop, we publish them onto Exchange, right? So there should be some team within your organization which takes care of, which actually promotes the reusability. There should be some team within your organization which will guide the other teams where to look up for any APIs, right? And there should be a team which will encourage the reusability of the existing APIs. So what Mulesoft suggests is to form a team called as C4E, Center for Enablement. Okay, the Mulesoft suggests to form a C4E which encourages the use of existing APIs. It encourages the teams to publish their APIs onto API Exchange, and also it will encourage or it will guide the teams to reuse the existing APIs. So I have actually gone through Google and I searched for C4E in Mulesoft, and here is a document which is actually in the website. So according to this, what is this Center for Enablement or C4E? Center for Enablement or C4E is a cross-functional team tasked with productizing, publishing, and harvesting reusable assets. Okay, I think this is really difficult to understand. I'll go through the exact point. A C4E is a group within your organization that drives the IT operating model shift. A C4E is in charge of enabling business divisions, that means LOBs, including the IT, to build and drive consumption of assets successfully, enabling speed and agility. It allows the business and IT teams to shift from production-based approach to production and consumption-based delivery model. So the C4E is a team which encourages to consume the existing APIs and then produce. Okay, it enforces the reusability. This team is responsible for making the LOB teams to reuse the existing assets. So according to the first question, if your organization is following or having this C4E team, they should have reduced 2 months of development. So this is the answer. Okay, so let's go to the second question. What is it saying? Refer to the exhibit. Actually, in certification exam, there will be a lot of questions where they show a flow like this and ask questions based on that. Okay, so this is the flow. Let me actually cut it and paste it here so that I can explain you clearly. Fine. Let us see. Refer to the exhibit. The main flow contains a flow reference to the child flow. Okay. A web client sends a GET request to the main flow's HTTP listener that includes a make query parameter. What are the values that are accessible in child flow? Okay, so query parameter is coming. The query parameter name is make. So to understand this, your concept should be clear. Actually, it's a very simple question, but I'll explain you the concept. Whenever a HTTP request comes, we know this HTTP listener, the inbound endpoint, it will create a mule event, right? Mule event is an object created by the HTTP listener in this case. And this mule event will contain mule message. This is a mule message, and mule message contains attributes, payload. And mule event also contains vars, where we can store key value pairs. Okay. So mule event is created by this, and that the same mule event goes to set payload. What is it setting? It is setting the payload as cars. Okay. Then it is setting a variable called as model. It is setting a variable called as model. And then using flow reference, it is calling the child flow. Now question is asking in child flow, what all are accessible? Hey, whenever you are using a flow reference to call child flow, it is a call by reference, flow reference. The same mule event will be accessible, right? So in the child flow, don't you think that this variable model is accessible? Payload is accessible. And also query parameter, which is inside attributes, that is also accessible, right? So here, if you see what values are accessible within the child flow, the option D is saying payload is accessible, make query parameter is accessible, and the model variable also is accessible, right? So, and option D is the right answer. Good. So first of all, understanding concept, and then we'll try to attempt the answer, right? So D is correct answer. Fine. Let us go through third flow. Refer to the exhibit. Okay, this is the exhibit. A web client sends a post request to HTTP listener, and the validation component in try-scope throws an error. Okay, this is throwing an error, this validation component. What response is returned to the web client? Okay, so request is coming and this is throwing an error. This is inside try block. So if it is throwing an error, the controller will come to on error propagate. Here they are setting the payload as error 1. Okay, but again, this is on error propagate, right? So it will be propagated again. So if it is propagated, will the next component be executed? No, the control will not come to next component. It will be propagated to the flow. At the flow level, we have on error continue, where we are setting payload as error 2. So on error continue means it will continue as if nothing has happened. So when the control goes back to listener, it will feel nothing has happened, and whatever was the payload will be returned. Right? So if you don't understand this concept or don't remember, go through my video error handling in my Mule developer playlist. There you'll clearly understand about error handling, what will happen in various cases. I have discussed clearly. So in this case, the error is propagated from here. This will execute, and as it is on error continue, HTTP listener will send 200 status code with whatever payload. So D, option D, error 2 is the right answer. Okay, good. Now let us go to question number 4. Now this is very interesting question. The main flow contains a HTTP request in middle of the flow. The HTTP listener and HTTP request use default configurations. Okay. A web client submits a request to main flow's HTTP listener that includes a query parameter for pedigree of the piano. Okay. What values are accessible at the end of the main flow? Okay. So let me explain you here. Let me explain you. I'll take this. Yeah. So actually, when the request comes, this will create a Mule event. Let me explain you. This is very important. Visualizing is very important. Inside Mule event, there will be Mule message which contains attributes and payload, and where's also will be there inside Mule event. Okay. So here, set payload is setting the payload to piano pedigree. Set variable is setting the variable. Fine. Then here a request is made to this HTTP listener. See, this is not a flow reference. If it was a flow reference, Mule event would have gone here, and that is different. But here it is a request, right? A new request is made, and this flow gives a response, right? So this attributes will not be of type HTTP request attributes. It will be HTTP response attributes. Actually, when this HTTP listener gets a request, the attributes will be of type HTTP request attributes. But once it makes a request and gets the response, this attributes will be replaced with response attributes. That means the original request attributes is replaced with response attribute, and whatever response payload is coming, that will be set as payload. But where's will be still the same. Okay, so you need to understand this part. So where's will still be same, but attributes is replaced and payload is replaced with response. Now let us see the answers. Let us see the options. What they're saying, what values are accessible in the logger in the main flow. Here, what all are accessible? Actually, payload, but actually it is response payload. Pedigree query parameters will not be accessible. Here, option C says payload, which is actual response payload, and the variable. See, this option B and option D can be straight away rejected, because it is saying that query parameter, initial query parameter will be available. So we can eliminate B and D. Now A says payload, C says payload along with producer var. And there is a clarity missing. Actually, of course, payload will be accessible in the logger. But to be very specific, it is the response payload, whatever, not the original payload, whatever is set here. The response payload will be set. And of course, producer var also will be there. So option C is the right answer. I'm 100% sure. You need to understand this concept. Once a HTTP request is made, the attributes, observe actually if you can create the same flow in your any point studio and debug it. I have debugged it. Okay. Observe that before HTTP request component, attributes will be an object of type HTTP request attributes, which contains query parameters. And this is a request payload. But after response comes, this will be replaced with HTTP response attributes. Understand this concept. There will be a definite question regarding this in the exam. Okay. Once your concept is clear, you'll understand C is the right answer. Okay. I suggest you, if you can actually create similar flow within your AnyPoint Studio, keep a breakpoint before request component and after request component and observe whatever I said, you'll observe. Okay. So question number 5. Okay, refer to the exhibit. Okay. Okay, fine. What is it saying? What data is expected by post to slash accounts? Okay, for slash accounts, post. It is of type JSON and it contains name, address, and customer sense. This is response body, but this is request body. What data is expected by post? That means it is asking for request. So it is clearly JSON. This is JSON, but it contains ID, which is not there. So C is also XML. D is containing name, address, customer sense. A JSON which contains name, address, customer sense. Extra things, balance and bank agent ID are there. I guess here, when they have actually taken a screenshot, those fields are missing. So among all answers, this option D is correct. It's a very simple question, right? Okay. Now question number 6. What is the correct syntax for a logger component to output a message with contents of JSON object payload? Payload is a JSON. So what we can do is, see, if you are using the first syntax, actually this should be curly brackets, right? It is not round brackets. So A is not correct. Dollar curly brackets should come. So A is not correct. If I come to B, they are using plus plus. The left side is a string, and whenever you are concatenating, both sides should be of same type. The right side also is expected as a string, but they said the payload is a JSON object. So this will give an error. And option C, what is it saying? In the logger, you have to write payload is hash payload. This is correct syntax. And in option D, they have used plus. Doesn't make sense. Plus is for concatenation, right? So option C is the right answer. Why option B is wrong? Whenever you use plus, if left side is string, right side also should be string object. But it is a JSON, right? It is a different type of an object, right? It's an object. So you cannot concatenate a string with an object. I suggest you to try this out in AnyPoint Studio, right? You'll understand. It is very important to understand. If not, directly I'm saying this C is the correct syntax to write along. Good. Now question number 7. Oh, it's a big one. They're asking to refer to this exhibit. It contains something. A web client sends a post request with payload. This one. to the Mule application. The file write operation throws a file connectivity error. This is throwing a file connectivity error. Okay. Actually, this error handling block they have given in the left side, in the right side. What response is returned to the web client? What is error thrown? File connectivity error. Okay. What is the response? Actually, this is on error continue, right? Okay. The first one itself is exactly matching file colon connectivity. Is it the one? Yes. It is on error continue. So payload is set to file colon connectivity. That will be returned. So it is very simple. File colon connectivity. This is the right answer. Good. Okay. Question number 8. A Mule project contains a data view module called as myModule.dwl that defines a function named format string. The module is located inside SRC main resources, that means in class path and under modules folder. What is the correct way in data view code to import this myModule using a wildcard and then call the function? Okay, import star from myModules. Actually, it is not dot. It is colon colon myModules colon colon. Hey, if you don't remember the syntax, go to my data view video in my Mule developer playlist and see. The syntax will be import star from modules colon colon, not dot. So B option, A option is not correct. B option is saying import star from modules colon colon my module. Import is correct. But whenever you are importing star, you can directly call the function. You don't need to again use my module colon colon. So B is not correct. And option C is saying again it is using import star from my modules dot. Again, dot is not correct syntax. So C is wrong. What about D? Now here it is using the correct syntax. Import star from modules colon colon my module. And here they are directly calling. So option D is the right answer. Okay, good. Now let us go to question number 9. A web client sends a request to this URL. What is the correct data wave expression to access the value of DEPT? This is the simplest question. I guess you know that this is a query parameter, right? And attributes.query params.DEPT. This is the simplest question and simplest answer. Now let us go to question number 10. Okay, this is using batch module. Very interesting. Let us see. If you have not gone through my batch module video in my developer course, please go through it. If yes, you'll be able to answer this. Okay, what is it saying? It is the input array of strings is processed by batch processor. Filters, aggregates the values. What is the last message logged by the logger component after that job completes the processing? So what are the logs that is seen here, right? If you see here, the payload is an array of A, B, C, D, E. Transform message, what is it doing here? It is just converting the payload to upper. You can see the XML here, this corresponding XML. It is converting the payload to upper. Then what is aggregator? Here is aggregator. The aggregator size is 3. That means until 3 elements, the aggregator will aggregate. Okay. And then aggregated payload will be given to the logger. So what will be this payload coming to logger? It is an array of size 3. And simply this logger is just logging the payload as JSON. So the payload coming to the logger each time will be an array of size 3. Right? So what it will log? It will log capital ABC the first time. Second time, there are only 2 elements. These are aggregated, and it will be DE. So what is it saying? Okay, and one more thing here in the batch tab, Here accept expression, it says in this step, it is saying accept expression is not payload contains B. Okay, except B, it will accept everything. B will not come into this step. So A, C, D will be one array. And then next, only an array containing E. So this will be the output logged by the logger at the end. So answer A is the right answer. Good. Now, the question number 11. What path setting is required for HTTP endpoint to route all requests to the router? It is A. Again, parenthesis is not required. But path setting is required for HTTP listener to route all requests to API kit router. Actually, /*. I guess they have given answer D, but this is not correct. And either this A also is not correct. It should be simply /*. Actually, none of the answers are looking correct. /*. Definitely A is not, because there is parenthesis not required. I guess it might be a spelling mistake while typing. It should be /*. And my answer would be D actually. A is not correct. /*, just like that. Okay, so 12th question we'll see in the next lecture.